Well, hello everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over the all-new 2024 Subaru Impreza hatchback. Before we get in this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And with that being said, let's get right into it. So taking a look at the front end of the new Impreza, I think they did a really good job with the styling there. It looks really cool. Kind of reminds me of the new WRX. A little bit less aggressive, but you know, you can definitely see the style cues there. And this blue color makes everything pop quite a bit. And you can see really sharp lines there. And this is something that Subaru, I think, has always been solid with, is just kind of like their front end design on the cars. Always looks pretty aggressive. Got the fog lights down below as well. I mean, notice the Subaru logo there in the front. Nothing too crazy there. Free smiles. That's funny. I didn't even notice. Like when I'm filming, half the time I'm just making sure that like the camera's on the things that I need to get on. So it's funny to see the details that I missed while filming. Anyways, look at the wheels there with them kind of machine finish, so it looks a little bit more upscale. Body painted mirror caps as well, and then you can see the trim around the windows is darker so that it kind of, you know, all matches together. And then so you've got like the blue and then you've got the dark trim. And then I do like that kind of like haunch there in the back because it makes it look a little bit wider with the overall appearance. The new taillights look, I think, pretty cool as well. That's another solid design cue there. And then you can see normal badges on the back, nothing too crazy happening with that. And being a Subaru hatchback, you can see you've got plenty of storage, and you can only get the new Impreza hatchback now, which should have just been that way from the start, frankly. But yeah, tons of storage in the back, really practical car. And now this is where things, in my opinion, kind of fall apart a little bit, because look at the bottom of the bumper there. It's a little bit too boxy for the rest of the design. I think that I don't know, I should have probably rounded it off a little bit. But popping inside, this is where things are really nice. So you can see you've got some nice padding and stitching there. I like the contrasted stitching. It actually looks pretty cool. And then look at the seats. Got a neat little design there. Again, look at the contrasted red stitching. And then the design in the center, I think, looks pretty cool. And space in the back, and this was one of the cars I could actually sit in the auto show. It's pretty solid. And you guys can also see that you don't really have a lot happening there. Not a lot of, I guess, creature comforts for the back passengers. And something I want to mention is the doors felt normal, like Subaru, kind of like sturdy, which is something to mention. But notice the padding there, and you guys can see down below as well. We've got all of our window controls, and those front two are automatic. And then, you know, with most Subarus, you've got like safety tech, like blind spot monitoring, all that kind of stuff is standard now because they're going all in on the safety side of things. And then the front seats look pretty cool. Like for an Impreza, I mean, look at that. I mean, not the most aggressive seats ever, but again, this isn't supposed to be like a sports car. It's supposed to be, you know, practical, all-weather hatchback. So I think job well done with that. Now with the steering wheel, you know, pretty basic with the appearance. This particular car, I think, is kind of strange because it's got like some really nice like upscale elements, like the wheels, for example, but then also like in the seats, and then some other elements like the steering wheel and everything, not so much. So it's weird. Paddle shifters there in the back. You guys can see the light stock there. And then you got the regular gauge cluster, which is mostly analog. You got a little screen in the center. And then you got the big infotainment system. Subaru is pretty much putting this in all of their cars. Now, I really like it. It's easy to use. It's got a good camera view. And I think it's one of the better infotainment systems in a more economy type car. And then you guys can see heated seats. You got the shifter in that area too with the parking brake. And notice cup holder action, of course. Center console with, again, more of that nice red stitching. And then you can see there's kind of like hard touch there on the dash. And then notice you got the manual mirror dimmer. Do have a sunroof, which is nice. And they had it open, funny enough. Controls for the sunroof right there as well. So, you know, it's an Impreza. I think it looks pretty good, except for like the back end kind of falls apart at the bottom with the bumper. But yeah, I like the blue color, and I think it will sell well. I think that Subaru's not going to have any issues with selling that car. But let me know what you guys think about the new Impreza, and let me know if you'd go for this one or the RS version of it. So now that we're done touring the new Impreza hatchback, let's quickly talk about some specs with this car. So first off, hatchback only for 2024, which makes sense because that's the more popular version of the Impreza. And frankly, the only reason why people get sedans is because with the Impreza is because it was cheaper. That's why I got one. It's because it was cheaper than the hatchback. So yeah, it's just kind of where the market's going. Everyone gets Subarus that are hatchbacks, and they should take note for the new WRX. It should have been a hatchback. Anyways, 2-liter naturally aspirated flat 4 cylinders, the base engine, paired to a CVT, 152 horsepower, 145 pound-feet of torque. And then there's the RS version that has a 2.5 liter flat 4 cylinder, also naturally aspirated, also paired to a CVT, 182 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. Apparently, you aren't going to be able to get a manual transmission with this new Impreza. The 5-speed is gone, which, you know, a lot of people are going to say it's disappointing, but like when I was filming for Subaru dealers when they still had the 5-speed manual, like nobody ordered it. Everyone got the automatic. I got an automatic because that was all that was available. I didn't even know they made a manual Impreza. But anyways, aside from that, I'm actually really impressed with the new Impreza. Now, I think the front end styling, they absolutely nailed it, and that's kind of always been the story with the Imprezas. They've always done a really good job with the front end styling. The back end, things kind of fall apart a little bit. So the back end styling obviously resembles what we have on the Crosstrek quite a bit, which the Crosstrek is trying to be like a rugged, you know, crossover type thing. So it's a little bit boxy on the back end. The boxiness looks good for something that is slightly lifted off the ground, that has a little bit more ground clearance. But for something like the Impreza that's low to the ground, you know, sleeker looks better, and being boxed in the back end, it kind of looks funky. Now with the interior, I actually really like it. I like Subaru's modern interiors. I think they've done a really good job with combining like a utilitarian-based interior kind of with the looks, but then also it feels more luxury. Like it's definitely not full-on luxury, but fit and finish is really nice. And every single time I get inside of a new Subaru, I'm always kind of impressed with how nice the interior feels, especially considering the price point. So I think job well done with that. And when it comes to features and price, I mean, Subaru is always very competitive and really solid. I mean, I know this is not related to the Impreza, but I just reviewed an Outback the other day, a brand new Outback. And I mean, for all of the equipment you get with that car and the price point that it's at, it was like $37,000, super solid. And so that will continue with the Impreza. Now, when it comes to the powertrains, this is where I don't know, I'm kind of all over the place. So like, the reason why Subaru uses CVTs and a lot of other manufacturers use CVTs is because it helps out with efficiency and fuel economy. And frankly, modern CVTs are actually pretty solid. They still have that, you know, CVT-ness to them where they're kind of sluggish, but they're a lot better than what they were in the past, where the shifts, they're not real shifts, it's just transitions, are again a lot smoother, and they're also quicker as well. So like, I'm not like a big hater because of the CVT, but at the same time, I wish that they would offer something else, because if you look at other manufacturers that have hatchbacks that are more on the hot hatch category, they are selling amazingly well. Like look at Mazda. They've got the Mazda 3 hatch with the turbo, and that thing, just like Mazda dealers cannot keep them. And I know that because I can't film one. I've wanted to film one for the 23 model year and I can't find one because they're always sold. And so I don't know why Subaru doesn't play into that more. Like with this RS version, they should have at least offered a manual transmission as an option. Like it doesn't have an insane amount of horsepower, but I think something for enthusiasts, especially like, yeah, just with something like that where they're going to put the RS name to it. But you know, they did a similar thing with the WRX where they have the GT package, which is super cool, but then with the GT you only get an automatic, which is, yeah, I don't know what Subaru's doing lately. They're making some interesting choices. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about the new Impreza. Do you like the looks? Do you like the powertrain setup? Or what would you have Subaru change about the car that would make it so it'd be more enticing for you to purchase one? Anyways, that's going to sum things up. See ya.